Good evening, everybody. Welcome. Welcome. Well, that escalated quickly, is the title. Well, that escalated quickly. What escalated quickly? What hasn't been escalating quickly lately? France. France, that's escalated quickly. But to some people, it's as if nothing's even going on at all. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. Right? How's everybody doing? It's been a little while, and I didn't even do the stream that I had up there. Almost didn't do the stream tonight. Almost didn't do the stream tonight. Sitting right here, and I almost shut her down. What am I doing here? Coming here to chat with everybody. Coming here to chat with everybody, see what's up. It's been a little while. A lot going on. A lot going on. And how does one deal with everything that's going on? How does one process what's going on? Some people um, haven't processed anything at all. Some people are just going on, living their lives as if nothing is going on around them, unless they're told that they need to be outraged by something. They really don't care because they don't have time to be bothered. Right? The world's got just a little bit too tight, right? That they can only see what's going on if they're told what's going on, in which case they don't really know what's going on at all. Easily controlled and easily manipulated. Many people are. And France is has gone pretty liberal, pretty woke, pretty progressive, pretty atheistic and whatnot after the French Revolution. But I don't dislike the French. Why would I dislike them, right? I don't dislike anybody, right? Even if I don't agree with somebody fundamentally, I really wish no harm upon them. But when you have people that are essentially just bands of thugs and like by the thousands, by the millions, all over the world, embedded in every Western country, like literally the dredges of all of these third world countries are flooding our nations. And even though we're across the ocean, they all go down, they go by boat or plane or whatever to South America, and they come across the southern border into the United States because all the time they're seeing not just Mexicans, but much further south, El Salvador and all these places. And then beyond that, you have Africans, you even have Chinese. And oftentimes, more often than not, when you see the videos, it's not women and children that are coming. It's not even families that are coming. Across the Mexican border, you do see more women and you do see more children, but you see a lot of men and from a lot of different countries. And you got to ask yourself, why are they coming across the southern border of the United States. What would make a person think that they can leave their part of the world and come to another host country, and there is to be something expected, something that is waiting there for them? It's like all these young military aged men just hit the jackpot, and they're all just told, hey, doesn't matter how you get there, you just get there, and once you get there, you'll be taken care of. And they've got all of these young men that are not, they're not working. I mean, there's families that are coming over from different countries and whatnot, and they are working and so on and so forth. They are contributing, right? Regardless, I still don't believe that we need to be bringing a bunch of people in from other countries, especially ones that don't have the same um, moral um, laws as we do. Then again, look at our country now, right? So I can't really use that excuse, but countries that fundamentally are different from the West, even though we have our own problems, I don't want other nations' problems being brought into our country. I would rather us, solve our issues before we let anybody else in. And then when we decide that we're going to let anybody in, well, they're coming in, they have to abide wholly and completely by our rules. Wilfred Witzke, how's it going, buddy? Yes, crazy times indeed, brother. Crazy times indeed. I mean, they come across the southern border into the United States, and then they are just flown and bussed all over the place. And all these children, they're just being taken to places. A lot of these women, a lot of stuff happens on the way across the border. How many people are killed on the way across the border, left for dead, so on and so forth. It's just a mass human trafficking effort, and also a way to smuggle foreign mercenaries into your country. Now, albeit these not all super trained super soldiers from all these countries, they're just trash that is capable of destruction, capable of violence, capable of rape, murder, violence. Violence is violence. Violence is violating. They are criminals, right? They have criminal mindsets. They don't have time to work. All they do is have time to complain, have a chip on their shoulder, and look to steal from the host, to take whatever they can from the host country. They are parasites, and they should not be here. We have enough people in our own country that are parasitic in nature and leech off of the system too much. We don't need the other countries, and the other countries are admitting. Why do you think that they're sending them? Right? They're sending these people, right? And oh, we need the labor. No, we don't. No, we don't. We need to train the people in our own country to do the labor. Well, Canadians, Americans, Westerners, they don't want to do the jobs. Yes, they do. They want to work. They just want to, I don't know, have a little bit of dignity, right? They want to be able to work, but not be, slightly above being an indentured servant, right? Now, we do have a problem with materialism in our countries, but most people, well, I can't say this because I don't live in the city, right? But And even out in rural areas, country areas, there are people that are very materialistic. But there are a lot of people that really they just want to be able to be left alone. Not that they even hate people or don't want to be around anybody or don't want any community. They want community. They just like it small, peaceful, quiet, high trust. Right? They don't want to worry about going down the street and literally having a car pull over and gun them down or pull them in and take them down some side road and rape them and leave them for dead or kill them. Right? They don't want to be followed to a bang machine and then robbed at gunpoint and beaten, thrown down. Right? They don't want to be cracked in the skull. Right? Sucker punch when they're walking by somebody. Right? They don't want to have to, you know, go against their gut instinct. Right? And not cross the road because someone's there, and cross the road because they don't want to be considered racist, and then get their head caved in, right? And and a lot of these people that I'm even talking with, they're not even thinking about that, right? Because they're not even around those kind of people, right? By and large, every town, every area has its bad dudes, right? It's criminal element and whatnot. Those are local boys, right? At least they're local, right? At one time, you always have criminals, right? You always have bad guys everywhere, but at least at one time, they're all local. At least everybody knew them, right? At least you don't have a bunch of strangers coming in and taking over behind the scenes, and then before you know it, you wake up and you don't even realize what country you're in anymore. I'm very fortunate where I am, although it's creeping in, definitely creeping in. We're not apart from any of this cultural enrichment, but I will say that generally, if any are coming to this area, they are um, more than likely family, or they're younger and they have family here, and when they get old enough, they're going to leave and go to a city. Um, but they're still, you know, again occupying, and they send money back to their own countries. They, really they don't have any connection to the land or the people or anything like that, to the communities. Um, there's nothing against them, just don't need them, right? You don't hate them, just don't need them. Like, because it's not a natural process that all these people are suddenly coming into our countries, right? It's not a natural thing. If it was natural, it would be different, right? If it was a way where someone was like, "Hey, I'm coming here," and the thing is, towns and cities and places in general don't have any unity anyways, because we've all been made to hate ourselves and hate where we come from, hate everything, like hate local things. So we always want something more and outside, right? That's what the West is taught. Like, what you had, right? What you grew up in was crap. You have to live the American dream, right? And unless you're living that American dream, you ain't shit. And the American dream, right? It just keeps on getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, to where it's just unsustainable and nobody's happy. Everybody's miserable. Everybody's just fighting to maintain. And I'm just so glad that I'm not in that whole world at all, right? At all. But but everywhere's is being affected by all of this sudden change. And even though I'm not seeing the worst of it here, right? Like I really can't complain overall. My biggest beef is I just think that people that if you need people to fill jobs and you need people to be trained on how to do things, then why the amount of money that you're spending to bring people here, to house them, to give them everything that they need, to give them free education, all this stuff, just to bypass all the processes, right? Give them all this free stuff, free dentistry and all this stuff like that. With all the money that's spent on doing that, you could have offered a program here that, really got people to, I don't know, can't say balkanize, but what I'm saying. Like, get some local people, get them trained up so that they can have some dignity in their own areas, their own towns. And the government doesn't have to do this. The government just needs to stay out of the way and let communities thrive and develop and allow them to, um, you know, have you know mills again, right? Allow there to be coal mining, in some areas, because it's not like there's no coal mining in the world. They just don't allow it here. Oh, it's bad and everything. That it's like it's well, you know, yeah. If you have a coal mine like everywhere, maybe. But I mean, it's cheap energy, it's clean energy now with all the technology, but now they won't allow it. Right? And a lot of guys in this area, Chipman, Minto, Cumberland Bay, all that Grand Lake area, a lot of them are coal miners. A lot of them, a lot of guys employed. A lot of guys employed in the forestry, right? Whether it's trucking, whether it's logging, harvesting, right? A lot of farms. Beautiful place here. There's a lot of good things, but the liberals and the progressives, basically the more city folk and the people that want to be like the city folk and the people from the city that want to be like, like they're from Ottawa, right? They want to be something important. We're from New Brunswick, so we've got to, prove to everybody that, we're extra this or whatever. All this stupid crap, right? And oftentimes they don't really, you know, they don't care about what goes on in the rural areas, right? But they really care about what goes on in those cities. And I can't even say that now because it's just, the cities are all going to crap, right? Fracking probably the least because it's like a big university town, like, and it's like the capital, but a lot of fentanyl, a lot of fentanyl. Just absolutely insane. And what's going on in France, like I said, like whatever you think about France, whatever you think about, their politics and everything like that, like I don't want to see a marauding invading force going in. I to see video of cars being turned over, all these freaking, well, a library, school, mall, like places just being gassed up, lit up, and burned up. Cars, buildings, breaking into police stations. There's one story that said that they broke into a gun shop, and I thought to myself, I thought guns were illegal. Like I thought to get a gun in a place like Paris would be next to impossible unless it's of course illegal. So I don't know what the heck they were talking about there. I don't understand that. Don't understand that. But breaking into police stations, doing all this, and Macron's partying at an Elton John concert. Rolling like thunder under the covers. And I guess that's why they call it the blue. Doo-doo-doo-doo. That's Macron as France is burning. And I guess that's why they call it the blues. Terrible. It's terrible to laugh at. I just don't know what else to do besides get really, really upset about it. Because I am upset about it. Boil. It makes my blood boil. Seeing that trucker getting pulled out and beaten. People just being attacked, man. Like, I just, the stuff that you're not seeing that's going on. There's that guy, I don't know if that's verified or not, but the shows the guy there. I thought I'm positive that I seen that footage maybe like a year ago, but you see so much of this stuff here and there. Like sometimes you get this, I don't know, like shining nostalgia moment where like I've already seen this video. Like I know I have. No, I have. But regardless, like brutal. Brutal. What's Bub's cat saying? What's Wilford saying? Major cities are the worst. Dude, where'd my initial comment go? Yeah, I don't know, man. Hey, Peter, you see my first comment about Mel K and mass texts? No. What's the first one? Okay, there's Wilford. Okay. Mass multilingual texts have gone out to the migrant shitbags to prepare to unleash hell around the states. Biden admin supposedly promised guaranteed citizenship and UBI upon arrival. Insanity. Mass multilingual texts have gone out. Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. I don't doubt it at all. And it's probably like money that's like sent out to like these, well, that, I mean, whatever, I guess they'd have their own people, but you know, they got all these scammers and mass texts and stuff like that. Like they probably hand it off to them and then they go on and send out the mass text to everybody. So that way it can't be connected back to the administration and whatnot. Major cities are the worst. Dude. I got it. It's there. But the Mel K, I don't think you said Mel K. But now you're referring to Mel K. Yeah, I wrote an initial text that was equally as long. It disappeared. Oh. Well, that I cannot verify. I didn't see that. I seen the mass multilingual text, like, because I seen the big message come up, but I didn't see the other one. I just didn't get to that one. So I don't know where that went, man. YouTube's weird sometimes. The report was Title 42, age males, etc. Oh, yeah. Dispersed are in city centers, rural, and residential. The same behind BLM are behind this migration fraud. Oh, no doubt. And in every country, there's these different groups and bureaucracies and whatever that are working hand in hand. They all have connections back to the same people to make this happen. Because without mass immigration from the Middle East, there just won't be a future for Europe. I mean, population. I mean, Jews are going to be resented for our role in this, but it's a role that needs to be played. Right? What's that woman? What's that old girl? Like, how can you say that and like you're not God? Right? You're not God. And these people are playing God. and are changing rules and making up rules as they go. So it's not the lawless one who's coming, it's the man of sin who declares himself above everything that is God. Just like Lucifer, I will be like the Most High. I will ascend. Right? This is happening all over the world. And in Canada, they're coming up from the States. And then the ones that decide that they're going to venture on to Canada, well, they go across, what is it, the Roxham Road in Ontario. And I'm sure there's other migrant crossings, but that's the biggest one. And the rest are just flown in. Quite literally, just flown in by the plane load. I mean, when will it end? Because people have to be seeing that the cultural enrichment is not as what it seems. It's not quite as it seems, one would say. Okay. Now it's gonna get something up here. I'm gonna bring something up because I mean it's right on cue. Right on cue, and I don't mean Q and on. The thing is about QAnon is that it is retarded, but it also is revealing, right? Like that's the worst. That's the most infuriating thing about the Q thing, right? Because they're basically revealing what they're doing, but they're telling you, but don't worry, we got this, right? Right? So I get talking and I can't do two things at once, so I just like tap the keyboard and don't do what I'm trying to do. So let's do this. So what's been going on? I've been working on the garden a lot lately. Well, since you could turn the soil, I've been working on the garden. I got everything in. Couple things left to plant. That I'm not in a rush for them. They can go a little bit longer in the cold, and I mean really, our season kind of is like pushing further into the fall all the time. So getting stuff in early isn't a big deal. But I did a lot of work pre work getting the garden ready, and just did a few extra things in order to make things easier this year. Like I put some dug some holes, hammered some posts down, like sledgehammer, like fence posts down into the ground, and with some fencing, wire fencing across. And I put my cucumbers, and I got bush beans and uh, yeah, cucumbers and bush beans, my peas, and all these on some different setups so that they'll grow up and grow up the lattice, grow up the mesh wire. It's not mesh wire; it's like tin wire, and that way it'll crawl up that, and you get less coverage on the ground. So that way you're not always walking through stuff and like trying not to step on the tubes, right? 'Cause you step on the tubes and you know, it's not good. Ruins your plant and stuff doesn't grow and kill stuff, and you're stepping on cucumbers. You can't see, stuff gets too thick, right? Because right now you look in the garden and you'd be like, oh, that looks nice, kind of thing, right? But by like once we get some sun here, because it's been basically raining since I basically since Pride started, it's been raining. So maybe it's gonna rain for a complete 40, just uh, as a spiritual kind of sign. It's not, we're not flooded out or nothing like that, but it's a symbolic 40 days of clouds and rain, pretty much. They're all the way through Pride, which has been so great. Because I'll say this, my town, I didn't see, I could stand to be corrected, but I didn't see one Pride flag in my town. Give a hand. Give a hand. There might have been some rogues, but I didn't see it. There wasn't even a rainbow crosswalk, folks. It's a beautiful thing. I think they did have an event, but it wasn't super advertised, wasn't super well attended. Um, yeah, I don't know if it's 100% or not. I should check up and I should know this, but I think they made it a thing where they weren't allowed to display the price up, but that could be a lie because I'm sure in the cities and stuff like that, it was friggin' Rainbow City and whatnot, right? But I don't go anywhere, so I have no idea. I just know where I'm at. I've seen little to no pride flags, and it was beautiful, beautiful. There wasn't a tranny to be seen. It was awful, people. And I don't even hate those people, right? That's saying like, you know what, as lefty as these people are, like I still don't want their skull to get caved in by a friggin' invader, right? That, sorry, nope. I mean, you're asking for it by inviting these people in because they really aren't going to like you, right? But I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. But our political enemies are nerds, right? We've gotten here because myself, I'm a straightforward kind of individual, and I like to meet things head on. I don't like to beat around the bush. I don't like to frig around, you know, and end up finding out something I don't want to find out, right? I just rather, if I'm going to frig around, right? No, I'm not even going to frig around. I'm more about letting someone find out. That's the best way to phrase it. I'm more in the business of allowing someone to find out, right? I'd rather allow someone to find out. Let them do the frigging, right? I'm more of a straight on type person. And I think a lot of men generally, men of yesteryear, you know, some men of today, there's still a decent amount of blood running through your veins, right? A decent amount of testosterone, just a at least a pinch of testicular fortitude, reminiscent to your father, your grandfather's father, right? Those that came before you that certainly went through a lot, and we've gone through considerably little compared to them. But we've done more in some respects, but just differently, right? We've aged because of our consumption and our decadence, right? Where they aged because they just worked themselves to death and died of cancer and not complaining ever, right? But we live in a soft world, and there's sharp edges. There's a bunch of squares that are inbound, right? And I don't know. sharp edges, right, corners against round surface, right? There's going to be an impact there. There's going to be a problem. They're not going to go together very well, right? But I think there's a lot of men out there that are straightforward men, and we would like to deal with this situation very much head on. If we could have dealt with this situation in our time in the proper channels, right? There'd be a lot of swirlies being delivered. There'd be a lot of people being stuffed in a lot of lockers, like, and then it would be done. But we're not allowed to do anything because we're fighting against nerds and losers that don't fight head on and get other people whipped up in a frenzy to fight for them. And then they can't control them and they're like, oh, save me. Oh, no. Right? And that's where we're at. We're against a bunch of nerds who, because they are hell bent on, revenge of the nerd style, right, on all the jocks, that they're willing to burn everything to the ground, right, for their golem fetish, right? Who will end up smashing their brains, right? Who will end up killing them, right? Their pets will just end up turning on them. But is that really what's going to happen? Because this is all planned out, guys. This is all planned out. News 24, trusted news first. Doom, 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 doom. Hey, this is interesting. Oh, oh yeah, this is perfect. This is a good find. How did I manage to find this? This is funny because this is from June 28th, 2013. Because I'll tell you why this was in 2013. Because December 2012, December 21st, December 23rd, December 21st, 2012 was the end of the Mayan calendar and was the beginning of a new era, a new age. Remember, it was the end of the Mayan calendar, and they're like, everything's gonna be destroyed, right? They made the movie 2012 where the whole world was being destroyed by cataclysmic natural disasters, and to basically make these arcs to get people out of there, right? And they make like jokes out of it, like they're getting away in an RV, and they're like, "Oh, this is a bumpy ride!" As like people are like falling into giant chasms and burning alive, and buildings are collapsing all around. Uh, that was almost getting to the point there when I was like, I'm done with movies. I'm done with movies. And I'm honest there too. Like at past 2012, 2013, my movie catalog went. I was like movie guy at one point in time, and then I just went. I just got sick of movies. Like I could rewatch movies, like my favorite movies. I could rewatch them over and over and over again. Not now. I don't got time for it. I'd Would I love to be able to? I enjoyed it when I did, but I don't have the same I don't have the same joy in it anymore. I don't have time for it more or less. Right? Now if I go to watch a movie, I used to be able to sit and like I'd watch movies and I'd analyze them and stuff like that, but movies they're not good anymore. Right? And you're not and you're gonna be hard pressed to find me a good movie where I'm gonna Be like, oh yeah, I'm sure it's a good movie, right? And then I'll actually come away saying, oh, that was a good movie. You'd be hard pressed to find one. Hard pressed. Because they're not even written well anymore. Like even Martin Scorsese movie now, it's not written well like the Martin Scorsese movies that you're thinking of. These aren't the droids you're looking for, right? It's just not the same because things are different. All these, renegades against the system and all these kind of free thinkers of yesteryear, most of them end up turning out to be complete government shills or complete just whores that would do and say anything for clout, the modern term for clout. And that term is for fame, right? For money. I don't know, does clout actually get you any money nowadays? I don't understand. I don't understand social media anymore. I don't understand that side of it, right? My social media now is like looking at I'm looking at the um, homesteading stuff, getting ideas, or I'm trying to, look at some memes here and there, but not even that too much. Not even that too much. I only get a few people that I even listen to right now. I only get a few people that I listen to right now. Shout out to Black Pill, Devin Stack. That's a guy I've listened to for quite a few years now. And how I listen to people, I can watch their streams and listen to them. Like, I don't watch them because I'm like waiting for them to teach me something, right? The people that I watch are people that they see things pretty much through the same lens as me, right? They pretty much see things the exact same way as I see it, and they've been saying the same thing for years, right? And I don't know how long. I guess I've been watching Dennis Stack. He's been around for a while now, and I've seen his stuff back in the day on YouTube, and then I don't know if he wasn't on YouTube for a while because I kind of forgot about him for a while, and then I think I seen him again like on somebody else's show or something like that. But no, he's always right on it, and I like him because he goes further than many others are willing to go, right down to the kind of almost nerdy details like I like to go. Like I'm talking about the small micro things, that he notices, like how I notice, and I don't mean that in like in a lifting myself up sort of way. I just mean that like I'm, you know, that's why I say like recommending a movie to me. You're gonna be hard pressed to recommend a movie to me that I'm gonna watch, take time to watch, right, and enjoy. Like I'm a huge movie critic. Like I'm not, I'm not even fun to watch a movie with, unless you want to sit there and riff on the movie. Then I'm the guy to watch a movie with, right? Because I'm gonna critique everything. No, and I'm not like, oh, he shot 12 bullets from a 10 bullet clip. I don't care about that stuff, right? I don't really care about that. It's like, well, he could have changed clips in between cuts, right? You don't see everything. They don't have to always go show them, right? There's so many cuts in movies that, like, You know, I mean, for goodness sakes, you could be eating a cheeseburger in between cuts. You know, so many cuts. There's too many cuts. I mean, 2 or 3 cuts is fine, but 99 cuts, 100 cuts. Come on, one fight scene. What are we doing here? No, but shout out to Devin Stack at Blackville. No, I always like Devin. Like I say, on point, same kind of temperature as myself. I've never read Dave the Rope, right? But when I seen stuff like that, right, that's when I'm like, okay, right. And then it's a while I'm like, okay, is he a Fed? Because I always got to do the old are they a Fed thing, right? And then there was yeah, everybody's a Fed, everybody's a Fed. Well, you kind of when you're when you don't know anybody personally or anything like that and whatnot, and you know don't know other people that are quite as into this stuff, right? You're on the internet, so you really don't know them. They're just a face and an avatar, and somebody that does videos. You don't know them, right? So, but as far as someone that doesn't seem fetty and can like tell a story, but is practical in his storytelling, that not over the top, like he's very introspective. He can critique like a film or a documentary and whatnot, and he can pick out a lot of the subtleties and things, right? Like the subtle, you know, propaganda that slips out in places, right? And I'm all about that stuff. I've always been about that stuff. That's why people stop wanting to watch movies with me, like I say, because I always pick stuff out, right? And not the kind of stuff where it's like, oh, that's not actually there, right? Like there's always that level, like conspiracies, right? Like I like a good conspiracy, but not really, right? Like I'm not a conspiracy guy. Like I don't like to waste my time with bullshit. I don't like to waste my time with rabbit holes and things that don't matter and things that you can't prove. Like there's a lot of conspiracy stuff out there that you can't prove. It takes a lot of leaping and jumping and backflips and it's just stuff that you can't prove. There's a lot of stuff that you can't prove. There's a lot of stuff that we talk about anyways that you, I suppose, can't prove, but it's worth talking about a little more than something else is. Not that it's not important, not that you can't look at it or think about it and whatnot, but not for me. I don't like a conspiracy for the sake of a conspiracy. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not like conspiracies. What's a new conspiracy? Is there no new conspiracies? Anybody? Right? Like I'm not waiting for the next conspiracy. I've known what the conspiracy is. It's just basically trying to figure it out and navigate through it and talk to other people about it, tell people about it, warn people about it. Try to give light to what's going on, right? Give some perspective, right? And I figure that I got some perspective that's not worldly, that's biblically. I'm not a friggin' religious nerd or anything like that. I'm not a Donnie, don't do nothing ever, right? Like 37 years old, gonna be 38 this year. Been around the block, done my fair share. Trust me, been there, done that. Got the t-shirt, wore the t-shirt, cut the sleeves off the t-shirt, used it for a workout shirt. Right? I got the shirt, right? I got the scars to prove it. Right? So I'm not just somebody that's up here that just wants to talk for the sake of talking. And what does my experience even do? It just gives me a little bit of perspective. I'm not somebody that's talking about things that doesn't have any. I'm not somebody that's just a basement dweller. I'm not somebody that doesn't work a job, that's never gotten their hands dirty. I'm not someone that's never dusted their knuckles, right? Not somebody that's never picked a weight up, right? Not somebody that doesn't walk the walk or talk the talk, right? A real deal OG. OG. I can say that now. I'm 37 years old. I'm an OG. You know, before I get to this thing there that I want to read, um, so the garden, latest thing that I'm doing is I dug up this section for chicken coop. I dug a had a, this area by this old garage pen. I it's all covered with bushes right beside the garden, but all the bushes and weeds and stuff all grown up, and all my compost stuff goes there. And so down kind of lower section, I used my matic and I pulled all of that stuff out, raked it all down, took out all the grass, made basically a level kind of spot, dug a trench, dug 4 post holes, put in the posts, got my fencing in around them, and I've just been building a pen for the chickens. Got 6 and 6 white and brown laying hens. So got them in the catch right now in the garage. Keep them away from the cats. I had it kind of just set up with the thing wrapped around it so that the cats couldn't get their paws in through the chicken wire in the catch to get the chickens. So, but I got to get them out of there because, smell, right? Eventually it's gonna, and it's wet, right? So everything just has that, mustiness. So I don't want it to get bad and smelly and whatnot. It's not good. So I gotta get this pen done, but it won't stop raining, and I'm just using scrap wood. So I'm, poor man scouting out like scrap wood stuff that's still good and using it. And I'm coming right along. I got the roof um, trusses up and this and strapping across them to kind of keep them up, and I got them um, fastened into the post. So I'm building this thing, and I'm just building it as I'm going. I wasn't even thinking about putting a roof on it, but there's some old tin sheets that are perfectly fine. They're nicely piled. They're used, but they were taken off of an older building at some point in time, so off a roof. So I'm going to pull them out, use them, and get the basically I'll put the catch inside of this coop, and then as they get bigger, come out of the catch, well, then I'll build another kind of petition around the outside, and then eventually I'll have to do some winterization and whatnot, right? But eventually we'll have some laying hens, 12, if they all survive and thrive and are giving eggs. You're going to have possibly, I mean, every day you should get at least 1 egg from them, right? And more, right? But just 1 egg, you get a dozen a week. I mean, yeah, yeah. 7 days. No, sorry. You get 12. So you're gonna have 12 eggs in one day. So 12 times 7, right? So we're not gonna eat that many eggs in one week. So we'll be able to hopefully, hopefully move some of the products, right? And the girls are excited because they're always looking to sell something, right? They're always like, we can sell our vegetables and make a vegetable stand, right? They always want to sell stuff, and then we can get a dairy cow, a milking cow. Would that be good? They just want me to work and work and work and work, which is great. I love it. I love people. I love my family. I love my neighbors. I love my country. Love my town. You know, I don't have to want to be around everybody all the time to want everybody to do well and want good for them, right? I don't have to be in everybody's business all the time to want people to do well, right? And most of all, like I want people to know God, right? Believe in God and believe in Jesus Christ. Now getting all religious here. But that's ultimately like the biggest thing, right? That's always what's going down to, because where we're heading to, people are coming to the conclusion that something is wrong in Kansas, Toto. Something is really wrong in Kansas, right? And people are getting religious. And I've been saying that for a while, that people are going to get really, really religious. And they are. But what's going on? I've done videos on this before. And it's been building up to this, right? And it's gone quiet for a bit, but it's come back. Albert Pike, Third World War. News 24, trusted news. First, June 28th, 2013, Albert Pike, 3 World Wars? Question mark. Let me take a U-turn and face the East and get into the occult. Some conspiracy theories can be true, but while others cannot, for any of the theories to be considered to be true, much research has to be done, and the info given is either an individual reject or receive the messages. Without any delay, let's start this trip. Just found the info with interest and just want to share with you, but you'll make up your own mind. And you can further do a search on these issues, it should be. Now, this person really good English. And I'm not, I'm not the best. I get my hang-ups when I speak, but spell check, right? Regardless, let's just keep going. Sorry, individual who wrote this. Albert Pike, but not sorry. Learn how to write. Albert Pike, born 1809 to 1891. He became a member of the secessionist movement, and also he was chosen by Mazzini to head the Illuminati, a secret society, operations in America. So he was Scottish Rite Freemasonry, okay, head of the Scottish Rite. He's the only Confederate soldier on Union soil. He's got a tomb dedicated to him in Washington, D.C., at the Freemason Hall there. He was then moved to Charleston, South Carolina in 1852. And he is said to have been made a brigadier general and placed in charge of raising an Indian army during the time of the war. So you tell a short history of this guy. So what? What? Sorry. He had said to have been made a brigadier general and placed in charge of raising an Indian army during the time of war. So you tell a short history of this guy. So what? This guy's got to be French. So what? You see, Freemasonry is a deceived society into thinking that Lucifer is God. Okay? And that he is the good one. The occult twist. So this is the author, right? This isn't the letters here. The occult twist, the truth of God, and Lucifer's God, and that he is the good one. The occult twists the truth of God and tells lies about the true living God, which they do. And this does not necessarily mean that Freemasons are all bad, because not all Freemasons are told the truth. Only the few in the higher degrees know who they really worship: Lucifer, Satan, right? The outside Freemasonry is being viewed as a good society, looking so innocent, but really you do not want to be part of it. Hear what they say. So, yeah, I mean, the lower degrees, Master Masonry, I mean, they're told what they're told, but most people that become Masons are doing it for the brotherhood and more so the connection, more so the ability to get in with the people that make moves and whatnot. It just makes it easier to get contracts and help and whatnot, right? And the higher up you go, the more that you learn, and the more that you learn, the more that you learn that what you learned is not true, and then you learn something else that later on is found out to not be true, and then you're told a double reverse lie, and then you get to another degree, and then you start getting really serious up into 32, going to 33, right? So the Masonic religion should be, and there's the Masons, there's the Knights of Pythagoras, right? There's the Knights of Columbus for the Catholic Church, right? And then you got the Jesuits. They got the Templars, and then you got the Scottish Rite Freemasonry, and then what's the you got the Blue Lodge. No, what is it? Kingdom Hall, Prince Hall, Freemasonry for the blacks. You've got the mullahs in Islam who are connected to the Shriners, and you've got the Knights of Malta, right? You've got the OTO, right? You've got all of these people. Then you get into the Aleister Crowleys and the Alice Baileys and the um, uh, Helena Blavatsky's, right? You get into all of these people into the esoterics and into the Gnostics, right? Even further. And then that connects you over, you got Rosicrucianism connected with the Freemasonry, right? Which is connected with the Templars, right? The Rosy Cross, right? And then you got these guys, and they're connected to Jewish mysticism and Kabbalah, Talmudism, right? It's very strange. They all end up having the same goal, and a lot of religions and different Christian sects have a similar outcome, and which is that we're building a kingdom, and that eventually, through God's love and us basically willing the kingdom into existence by Christianizing the world, right? That it'll be made ready for Messiah to come, right? It'll be made ready for Jesus to come. And that's what they're told, Mormons, that's what the Jehovah's Witnesses are told. It's all similar. I mean, it's not the same, it's not the exact same as Mormonism, but it is similar. It all is quite similar. They all the kingdom principle in Methodism is like that we are realize the concept of the kingdom of heaven, and we are basically working to bring that to fulfillment. You could call it, I don't know if you call it, because even those circles, sometimes there's a bit of that Christian nationalism, that Christian nationalism flag. Right? And then you got the other side, like the Baptist churches in a lot of places, and evangelicals, and they're really tied to Israel, and really putting forward that Israel is the fulfillment of God's will, and that basically the fulfillment of Revelation is really, it's all about the Jews, and the church. After the first couple chapters, there's no more mention of the church. Basically, church is out of here. church is raptured out here, and the rest is all about the Jews, right? And that's not always how it's been, but that's how it's become. And then you've got, the Pentecostal, um, name it and claim it types, and they're also very kind of Zionistic, very pro Israel, but very prosperity gospel oriented. And they're basically about the same thing too, right? As long as you believe it, right? Speak it, believe it, and it will come true. God wants to bless you. Send me your money. And you know what? And they do a lot of work. There's a lot of works, a lot of good work that's done by all of these different groups. I won't sit here and say, stop on here. Right? No, because like most people in most things, they are deceived, right? But there are bad people. There are evil, wicked people. Again, are bad people. And some of the bad people that are out there right now that are coming onto the scene are completely different, right? Because you got one level of bad guy that's like here, right? And they don't engage in anything, right? They don't actually engage in anything besides propaganda, um, character assassinate. They do all that stuff, but they keep it clean, so to speak. They get their whipped up groups to go out and do all the damage, right? To do all the violence, right? So at some point in time, they can also jettison them because you think that they want those people around. No, they're only there to serve a purpose, right? Which is to drive fear and anxiety so that people want the government to step in and do something. Before Donald Trump got elected the first time, while he was still running just to even be candidate for president, I could see I never even liked Trump, never really even paid attention to Trump. I just thought, Trump's kind of this cocky, billionaire guy, and he was always on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, or no, The Apprentice, The Apprentice, and Who Wants to Be a Billionaire, The Apprentice, and I never liked that. Everybody liked him then, though, right? Everybody was brainwashed then by him, and they didn't mind him then. Everybody was always saying, "You're fired, you're fired, you're fired." Right? They loved it. They loved that whole series. But then, as soon as by the time he got to run for the presidency, oh, the switch was flipped, and everybody was set to hate him. No, this man, you are not to like him. He is bad man, orange man, bad man. Right? Hate orange man. Hate everybody that likes orange man. Orange man, Nazi. Orange man, Hitler. Right? Orange hue, Hitler. H. Right? The OK symbol. Okay. But by that time, it was flipped, and everybody hated him. Everybody worked so hard to not allow him to be president. So it turned a lot of people on him. They thought, this is the guy that's saying the stuff that we like. Finally, it was very refreshing. But before he even became president, I said, like, they're going to make it so bad. And this, because, like, I'm thinking this stuff is, on its way back then, right? Before it was even, before Black Lives Matter was even a thing. Was it? Yeah. Yeah, before it was even a thing. And I could just see it. They were really starting to whip all that stuff up. And that stuff all really began, like I said, after 2012. After 2012, things changed. There was a completely different change of attitude that went out from 2013 onward. And most people don't notice that because 2012 was the big dud, right? It was the end of a cycle, but the beginning of a new cycle is what it was. And that was an esoteric moment for them because there was many massive rituals that were done during that time. I remember there's all kinds of different reports and stuff like that. There's all kinds of, you know, I want to say like portals were opened, right? Things were let into this world, right? I'm not saying that, but there was a lot of, it was very high occult esoteric moment, 2012. I mean, matter of fact, I mean, it had even a part to play in the Denver airport mural. Okay. And so things changed then. And by the time you get Donald Trump running, that's 2016, that's only 3 years later. Look how much they escalated. And I'm telling you, and really, like it was before YouTube was the best kind of before 2012 and even up right almost probably before the elections or leading up to the elections, where it started getting like retarded, right? So Donald Trump came in, and I said before he came in that they're going to make it so bad. It's going to get so bad out there and so rough, and the potential for violence and rioting and all this stuff like that because they were all claiming that he's going to bring in martial law, right? And then I'm like, they're telling you that they're going to riot if he becomes president, and then he's going to end up bringing in martial law. Well, of course, he didn't, but there was a lot of riots while Donald Trump was president, right? A lot of riots. The whole summer of love, right? Everything after Charlottesville. You had the Portland, you had Chop City, right? Chop. And now you look at the major cities all over the West, and it's just disgusting. Just disgusting. I feel for anybody that's living in the city. I mean, you made the decision to go there, and I don't really feel guilty in some respects, but for decent people that are just trying to work and live and not get sucked into the trash and the filth, I really feel for them. Right? Because there is just armies all over the world of completely useless sons of Belial out there. And the chickens are coming home to roost and are roosting in France, Belgium, and where else they leaked over into. And then it's like, oh yeah, it goes on. It's just, I don't know if it's calming down or not, but say after 5 days it calms down, and then people be like, it was only 5 days. Right? It was only 5 days. And the news, when they report it, right? First reported, cops execute 17-year-old teenager who didn't do nothing and just wanted to be an electrician. Right? Like, that's the title of the article. Cops execute. Cop just walked up. Allah Akbar that motherfucker. Or he'd be like, Allah Akbar that in the middle, fuck you. Je suis allé à la Akbel. You go. That wasn't what happened, was it? No. Little Najarni, 17, operating a vehicle, working a job where he drives, doesn't have a license. Oh, well, I mean, we've all driven without a license. He's new to the country, and he's already breaking laws, right? He's already causing trouble. And then when the cops stop him in what looked to be a new Mercedes, he decides that he's going to take off. Gun pointed at him. I mean, shoot. Gun's pointing at me. It's already pointed at me. I'm not going to hit the gas, try to escape. What is that going to do? Especially when the cops hooked onto the door, half in the window. Gunzer just about runs over the cop. The cop's like hopping along with it. One shot. He did. He gone. He gone. Right. Well, thank goodness the mother has come out and said, I think these people are using my son's death as just an excuse to cause trouble. Yeah, you don't. You don't say. And you don't say that the media isn't helping anything by saying cops executed him or saying that the cops killed a teen. Like, even the fact that they say the cops killed a teen, right? Like, they don't even mention the fact that he was committing a crime enough to that where they were approaching the vehicle with guns. And then he took it upon himself to take off and almost run over the cop. And he gets shot for his troubles. And now, for that trouble, France is on fire. And how many people have been killed, raped, maimed as a result of that? What? Where's the justification here? Honestly, I see like a tweet there by the French, I think it was chief of police or whatever they're called there, and that basically the government's not helping them, and that they are fighting, they're taking it very seriously, and basically they're saying that the government is not helping them, and that they're literally fighting vermin, and they are. That's not racist. And then you have these people, these idiots that dare come on to a television network and they have the audacity. They're not even from the fucking country. Second generation street shitter. And they have the balls to sit there and say, oh, France has a long history of racist behavior by the cops. Oh, so France is American now. You understand that, guys? Everywhere is America. Everywhere. If you do anything to stop the criminals and you're racist, sorry, not going to work here. Not with me, anyways. Not with, I'm sure there's others. Many, many others. Many, many others now. Definitely many, many others. People are waking up. You can tell. People are getting mad. People are getting upset. That's good. They need to be. You know, this is all freaking part of it. Kalergi plan to bring all this stuff in, but ultimately, the end result is what it's about. What is that? make Islam equal. Why? For an ultimate cataclysm. So, the Masonic religion should be, by all of us initiates of the high degrees, maintained in the purity of the Luciferian doctrine. Yes, Lucifer is God, and unfortunately, Adonai, Jesus, Adonai. Some people have different ways to say it. Adonai. There we go. Adonai. Jesus is also God. And unfortunately, Adonai is also God. But the eternal law is that there is no light without shade, no beauty without ugliness, no white without black. Do you hear that? As stream was before, for the absolute can only exist as two gods, darkness being necessary to light, to serve as its foils, as the pedestal is necessary to the statue. Pedestal is necessary to the statue. And the brake to the locomotive. The doctrine of Satanism is a heresy, and the true and pure philosophic religion, the belief in Lucifer, the equal of Adonai, Jesus, but Lucifer, God of light and God of good, is struggling for humanity against Adonai, the God of darkness and evil. A.C. de la Rive, the lady, page 588, Lady Queenborough, Occult Theocracy. Page 221. Okay. Femme et les enfants dans le front maconere universel. Universal. So you see what that says? Purity of the Luciferian doctrine. Yes, Lucifer is God. And unfortunately, Adonai, Jesus is also God. So there's two gods. There's a conflict, right? There's two. But they say Jesus is the God of darkness, right? Just like they say that Adam and Eve were imprisoned in the garden, left stupid, right? They didn't know anything, they didn't have any knowledge, right? But they had all the knowledge of God. They already had everything that they needed. Not all the knowledge of God, so to speak, but everything that they needed for creation. God allowed Adam to name every animal, right? He was just basically blessed with all these unlockables. He's had to unlock them, right? With experience points. God put it all into him, right? Just like when you go and you're able to just kind of you work through problems. Well, God put that in us for a reason, so that we could take care of his creation, that we could be husbandmen to his creation. Not a tree hugger, but responsibility, right? Not because the land is God, not because any creation, anything on the earth or above the earth or under the earth is God, but that God created it all, and he created it all good, and he created it all good for us, for his good pleasure. And most people are not living lives for God's good pleasure. And what I mean by that is they're living empty lives without any fulfillment. They're living lives of materialism. They're living lives where they do nothing but hunt and seek for money. They live lives where they only seek pleasures of this world. Or they only seek darkness, evil. There's no light in them. They say that's Jesus. And it's almost like, in one sense, they are turning Jesus into the God of darkness, because they're associating Jesus, all these churches, with, transgenderism, homosexuality, all the degeneracy of this world. They're heaping it upon Jesus when Jesus died. once and for all for those sins, but he did not die so that you could do those sins. He said to Mary, right? Mary, that was a prostitute. He didn't call her a whore, even though she was a whore. He told her, don't be a whore anymore. She understood who he was, and he said, and she's like, you know what I am, right? And he's like, I know what you are, right? Don't do it. Why did you do that? Don't do that, right? Don't be a whore. Oh, you're a fag? Well, stop being a faggot, right? Oh, you're an adulterer? Stop being an adulterer, right? You're a drug addict? Stop being a drug addict. You're a drunk? Stop being a drunk, right? I'm not saying that you can't have a drink. I'm not saying that you can't have a smoke. None of it's wise to do. I can't say anything against it, but I'm going to. Well, I can say everything against it. I'm not going to. I can't say that I haven't taken part. Can't say that I haven't smoked my share of weed. Can't say I haven't drank my share of liquor. Done my share of different drugs. Instead, 37 years old, and I grew up in a Christian home, so to speak. We went to church and everything, and you know, my parents understood and are saved, but they are from that generation where things were different, and you could have a little bit of trust in people because things were a lot more local. But things aren't that way anymore because everybody moved out. No one cares anymore, and everybody that comes in to replace them is now from somewhere different. So no one has any connection with the local areas, and so it's all just about finding ways to bring in new money, bring in federal money, bring in all these grants, all this stuff. It's just this revolving piggy bank and printing press of money that we don't have. And you know, my parents are pretty up to snuff on things. I always, you talk to your folks, stuff like that, and I always have a really good conversation with my dad. I always have a good conversation with my mom, but there's always there's things that they understand and totally get, but then there's another section where it's like they miss the point altogether, right? So you're always having to kind of reprogram them on certain things, you know. And we have our setbacks, all of us ourselves, right? And most of it, I dare say, most of our issues, because and we really our generation, I think, for people that are like me, which I'm sure I know there's people that are like me out there. Um, the men that are out there, the women that are out there that are like how we are, we like to know how to do things. We want to do things. We want to be shown how to do something, and then we want to go and do it. Right? We don't want to have to ask for anything all the time, but we will ask. Right? We want the freedom to be able to do something. Right? And a lot of our problems are probably mostly self-inflicted. Like, I always say this, I'm my own worst enemy. I always have been, always will be. Like, sure, there are people that cause me problems in my life, but really, the person that causes me the most problems in my life is me. It always has been me, and it always will be me. And I'm sure in your life, it should be the same. If you have any kind of self perspective, or self reflection, or whatever, you should know that you yourself are your own worst enemy at every turn, right? You're the one who falls for stuff. You're the one who does things you shouldn't do. You're the one who does things that you shouldn't do. I'm the one who does things I know I shouldn't do. Right? We've all done these things. But what are we about? Are we Do we want to subvert children's minds and pervert them and mess them up? Do you want to steal from your neighbor and not work at all, or do anything but just do as little as possible and suck the teat off of everybody else, have some sort of passive income where you don't do anything but basically steal money and grift people out of money from some stupid friggin' get rich quick scheme? Or are you one of these people that works a job where your job is literally to be a slime ball that works for some heartless corporation, right? Or is your job literally, um, well, even that tax collectors back in the day, if you're if you find yourself in a position where you're working for the new world order and you come to that conclusion, you turn from it, you'll be saved, you'll be spared. But a lot of people, as time goes on, they're going to turn to it. They're going to turn to it. It's going to be easier all the time as we all have less money, less security. And then at the same time, it's going to be easier to turn away from it if you're preparing for it. If you're not prepared for it mentally, spiritually, right, physically, then you're going to fall victim to it because you're not ready for it. So you're not going to be prepared spiritually, mentally, physically to go against it. And I'm not talking about that you need to be super prepper or anything like that, right? You just need to be aware. You just need to be aware that things are going on. Things are going to get bad. You've got to be aware that you might have to defend yourself, defend your family, defend your neighbors. You have to be aware that the power might go out, right? You have to be able to, be aware that you might not have any electricity, not to cool you down, right? Stuff in your fridge is going to go bad, right? I think there's so many people, this is why it hurts the most, is that so many people just don't have a freaking clue how bad it'll get. Like, they don't even understand that what's going on in France is very much going to happen here. Very much can happen, and it will happen, especially as there's more and more collapse and as money is worth less and less. And more people are, as more and more criminals are stealing, right, and getting their hands on all this cash, cash is going to be even less and less valuable because everybody's stealing cash. Nobody's going to want to deal with cash. And you're already seeing that. Businesses are not dealing with cash anymore. They want to stop being robbed. And there's so many people out there that are just disgusting opportunists that they just come out of the woodwork to cause complete pandemonium for no other reason but they're a piece of shit. When they see the power's been off for a few days, they're like, we're going down to that mall, we're getting ourselves some Nikes, right? And we're gonna sell it, right? And then they get down there and there's 1,000 other people that look just like them do the exact same thing. Right? And they're just allowed to do it. In France, I hope they're putting down the rioters really, really heavily. Like, I hope that the body count of these people is very high. And I hope that they immediately begin mass deportations. And those that are rounded up, those that are arrested, just end it. Don't send them to jail. Don't allow them to go and fill your prisons and recruit everybody else, right? For the next big thing. Don't do that. Their home countries don't want them. They're happy to send them to you. You're going to you have them now. Now you're going to have to deal with them, right? Because we didn't deal with the nerds. Now we're dealing with the turds. We didn't deal with the nerds. Now we got to deal with the turds, right? And then what does this do? Now, every good Muslim, right? Every good Muslim now, when this stuff does kick off in France now, every good Muslim is subject to, well, I mean, justly so, to be a target, right? So what do they need to do? They need to separate themselves immediately from the hordes and give them up completely. Don't harbor them. Let them go. If that's not you, if that's not your Islam, then you let them go. But that's the whole point, is to use these marauding hordes in order to weaken the West and prop up Islam as a way to combat it. Now, how's that going to look like right now? Well, it's going to be ethnic warfare, right? It's going to be religious warfare. And innocent people that are not part of this will get caught up in it. Just like people that have done nothing to these immigrants but welcomed them in and gave them housing and begged for them to come in and cried for them to come in. Now you're reaping the benefits of it and being murdered in your own streets, having your cities burned down in front of your face, right? Now you're experiencing how much they don't care about you, how much they hate you, and how that they've been told that all of their problems are because of you. Like, they literally sent a bunch of low IQ, just capable enough men to cause a lot of problems, to the point where you're going to have to send military in. And now, not enough people have guns in those places. A lot more people have guns here in the West, in Canada, in the United States. But unfortunately, they're arming up these lefty forces with illegal weapons. I'm sure they got a lot of them. Luckily, they don't know how to use them because they turn them sideways and they end up shooting their own nuts off or end up shooting everybody else but the target. Right? They just give them all these things. Meanwhile, law-abiding citizens are looking to take them away from you. You understand they don't want you to have any means to fight your enemies, right? That's the leftist side of it. But what's the ultimate? What's the ultimate goal? Is it for them to kill us all? Or is it for us to rise up and kill all of them? Right? What is it? Because you can look at it from two perspectives. I mean, there definitely is a great replacement theology, and they definitely are looking to destroy and put an end to all white people. Then conversely, there's another side of it that says that it's a giant that's about to be awakened. And I'll tell you why. See how the truth of God, the creator of heaven and the Bible, is being twisted now? To them, Lucifer is God, continuing with the article, the exact thing which Satan has always desired to have from the beginning, right? Satan said to Adam and Eve, you'll be as God, knowing good and evil, right? Lucifer said, I will ascend, right? Oh, here it says, the exact thing which Satan has always desired from the beginning. Now he was deceived. He has deceived his devout followers. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars, angels of God, and I will be like the Most High. That's in Isaiah 14. People say, oh, Lucifer, that's not actually in that. It's not in the other versions. Why? Because the other versions are watered down versions from other manuscripts. Want to get into the manuscript thing? Okay, text receptus. That's what the received text, the bulk of the text that are all the copies and copies and copies and copies and copies that are all the same. All the same that makes up the King James Bible. Because all the other versions come from the Codex Vaticanus, a Latin Bible, right? That no one was even able to read until it was translated, right, into German. You've got the Codex, Codex, oh no, Codex Vaticanus and the Codex Alimentarius. That's the population control. Sinaiticus, right? The one that was bound for the trash, bound for the fire, right, where it belonged, and it was used in combination with the Codex Vaticanus to bring together the ESV, English Standard Version. Everywhere they disagreed with the King James Version, they went with the Vaticanus and the Sinaiticus. They are fraudulent because they have changed things. The King James Version is the compilation of work that all came before from you've got the Bishop's Bible, you've got it's like the Puritan Bible, right? You've got the come on, what's his name there that first translated the Latin Vulgate? There was Erasmus, and then you've got Tischendorf. Tischendorf is the one who found Sinaiticus, but you've got what's his name? German? Anyways, basically, his dream was that every plowboy would be able to read God's word, and that he would be able to have an answer for any priest, right? Because even a plowboy would have access to the word of God, and he would know what it says, and he would be able to live his life according to that, right? The Bible freed people from the serfdom of the Dark Ages, the Middle Ages. People in the West were educated and learned how to read from the King James Bible. Now people can't even read the King James Bible. They want simpler versions. Oh, the language is archaic. No, it's not. It's not that hard to understand it. It's kind of cool. And in fact, in the newer versions, there's words that are easier in the King James Version that they purposefully complicate in the newer versions. In the NIV, like there's words in there where it's like, why they put that word in there? The word that's in the King James is better. There's verses that they take out in the other versions, right? And then also all these newer versions, they also love even more that the Dead Sea Scrolls are found. And what connection does the Dead Sea Scrolls have? Well, it has a connection to the Essenes, who were Gnostics, who were cloistered in the caves of Qumran. And they were a religious sect, and they were different from the Pharisees and the Sadducees. Right? They believed that all material was evil, and that only by being away from all of worldliness could one basically be saved from destruction. They didn't believe in the resurrection of the body. They didn't believe in angels. There's a lot of weird things that they did and didn't believe. A lot of people will try to say that Jesus wasn't a saint, that when they went off to Egypt with his parents when he was younger, they went off to Egypt and stayed there, and he was trained up in the occult, the esoteric, lived in Alexandria, right, and all that. And when he came back, he knew sorcery. Stuff like the Gospel of Thomas, right, where he turns clay pigeons right to real pigeons, and he killed a boy at one point in time. All these things were like in the New Testament, he doesn't have the ability to even do miracles or anything like that, right? Like they make it out to be like as if he's like a sage and a magician. But that wasn't what he was, right? He wasn't in the occult, right? When he did what he was told to do, fulfilling the words of God the Father, and was baptized by John the Baptist, and the voice from heaven came out, "This is my son in whom I'm well pleased," and the dove landed on his shoulder. In that moment, the Trinity was seen, the audible voice of God from heaven, the Holy Spirit coming down like a dove and landing on the shoulder, the physical shoulder of Jesus Christ, being endowed with the Holy Spirit to therefore go and begin his ministry, where he performed many miracles. And even though he performed many miracles in front of people, even raising people from the dead, still they had him crucified because he wasn't doing what they wanted him to do. He wasn't the man they wanted him to be. So he can't be the one. We can't allow him to do this. What he's doing, he's going to overthrow our positions. And we like our positions. We like lording over the people. We like, having the best seats in the synagogue. We love, speaking big words, right? And having people, give us their tithes and their fat meat offerings and all this stuff, right? We love being able to hold people's eternity in our hands, right? Opening and shutting the door as we please. So the Essenes were against all that. So they go very much. They easily, reach for Jesus, right, and say that Jesus was a part of that, right? And then that's where you get the whole Gospel of Mary and the Gospel of Judas, and that Jesus, for Judas it was Judas. Him and Jesus had a plan worked out, and they switched the bodies or something like that, and that Jesus really didn't die on the cross, and he snuck off and got married to Mary, and they had kids, and that was the Merovingian dynasty, and they became the monarchs of Europe and everything like that, France and so on and so forth, and that all goes hand in hand, the Gospel of Mary, the Gospel of Judas, with the whole idea where Judas wasn't a bad guy. He wanted Christ to succeed, and he was a zealot. He's part of the Sicarii, and he was he thought that he was going to move the needle, and that, folks, is Antichrist. That is Satan that entered Judas, right? Because he thought he was going to do something, because he figured, I've heard this before, that Judas would betray Christ only for him to, basically be exposed and and show them who he was and basically have victory over them and restore Israel, and or not have victory over the Pharisees, but basically take on the role, right, that they wanted him to, and restore Israel from the Romans. And he didn't. And he called him the father of the devil, and that they turned his house of prayer, his father's house of prayer, into a house of thieves, a den of thieves. You know, a lot of people would say that Jesus was very anti-Semitic, but then you have them always talking about how Jewish Jesus was. So they like to throw that in our face, but then also like to deny him at the same time. And these same people are also described by Jesus to John the Revelator as the synagogue of Satan, saying the Jews but are not. So what do you have there? Well, again, you have people that are convincing you that they're Jews that are really going to betray Jews. You look at Israel and you see how much the COVID vaccine went through there. I mean, they probably like had some of the highest compliance and like most draconian shot policies going. I mean, Israel is not free. It's a police state. I mean, you can say whatever you want. Religious Jews are not allowed on the Temple Mount. They can't even go on to the Temple Mount, what's perceived as the Temple Mount. Temple Mount was actually City David. Right? That Wailing Wall is just the remnants of a Roman fortress. Right? It's not actually the wall to the temple complex. But regardless of that, the Jews aren't allowed on to the Temple Mount. There's lots of footage where you can see IDF soldiers with water cannons, pepper spray, rubber bullets, and they're shooting Jews, religious Jews. Now, why would they be doing that? Why would they be doing that? You can say whatever you want about World War II. You can say whatever you want about the Holocaust. You can say whatever you want about the number, if it was up or down or not at all or 100% it was, you know, whatever you want to say there. The fact of the matter is that Jews were definitely killed and executed. The problem is that how many of those Jews were communists, right? They always separate Jews from communists when they say who was in the concentration camps, right? And then they like to talk about, you know, blacks and homosexuals and stuff like that, right? Well, I mean, they always talk about these different minority groups, right? But the fact of the matter is that most of these minority groups would have been communist, right? So there would have been a lot of communists that were perishing in these camps. I don't think the number's what it is, but also I think that, you know, Hitler had the Havara Agreement to move Jews to Palestine because they really wanted to get them out of Europe and get them going on to Palestine, but a lot of them didn't want to go. It was their home. A lot of Jews in Ukraine, right? From the Khazars. And there's a lot of Jews that didn't want to go. They didn't want to leave home. They didn't want to leave Europe. They didn't want to go to Palestine. They didn't want to go live in the sand. They didn't want to go to the desert. It wasn't developed like it is today. They didn't want to go there. They were established. They had what they needed there. Is every Jew in Germany communist? No. Surely not. Like, I just don't think they were. Now, most that were expropriated or expulsed from Russia at the turn of the century and came to America, the East Coast, and then went back for the revolution, those were all communist Jews. Right? Communism was ripe in Germany. The remnants of the Versailles Treaty and all of the looting of Germany there, and basically holding them hostage or collecting money from the French soldiers were going in and collecting bills from them, because the interest and whatnot that they had to pay on the reparations was so great, it was just astronomical. Couldn't pay it. And the inflation was already crazy, so they didn't have any money. But there's a lot of things that, got the people prepared, right, to be victims and understand that they were being treated unfairly, and then to understand that their country was being subverted and taken over from within by a foreign group. And it begins hard to differentiate. Same with Christianity, right? Like, people always want to end up, they'll say, oh, there's so many denominations of Christianity. Which one is it? Right? But then they're the first person to turn around and then lump all Christians together as if we all believe the exact same thing. Right? And I guarantee you that we don't. We should all agree on the basic thing, and we should all agree on basically everything else. Like, if you are somebody that loves God, loves His Word, loves His laws, loves His commandments, loves His statutes, you're not going to see anything in there that you don't want to keep, right? But a lot of people have gone past that, and they've broken these laws and different things at different times, and they've broken them so many times that they have a really hard time breaking free from it. And only Christ can save you from that, and the Holy Spirit, right? But you have to ask for that. I'm getting tired. I'm like almost going to fall asleep while I'm talking here. 12:31. I should get going. I got to work tomorrow. I got to finish this when I'm talking about. I don't even know what I was talking about, to be honest with you. Oh, shoot. What's chat saying? Miss Massless, Gary Galuska, how's everybody doing? Good to see you guys. Repent, Klaus Schwab. Things will never be normal again. Nope. We're entering an angry, angry world. Right? Getting to it, I know it's taking me a long time to do this article, but yakking, guys. So again, Satan, first thing he did in the garden, deceive them. You'll be as gods. So then man, through that fallen effort, now had to understand and know good and evil. And so that's the concept of Luciferianism, is knowing the good and the evil and balancing out the light. Right? Because you need both. You need both. They say Lucifer just means light bearer. No. Lucifer is Satan, how thou art fallen from heaven. Satan, I seen Satan fall like lightning. Right? Satan, the same Satan who tempted Jesus in the wilderness. Right? Get behind me, Satan. What was that about? Tempting him to not believe that God would protect him, not believe that God would get him through the 40 days and 40 nights in the wilderness, right? To believe that, hey, you can jump off here and angels will come and save you. Hey, I'll give you the kingdoms of this world if you just fall to my feet and worship me. And what did Satan do to Job? Said to God, it's like, he just does what you say because you give him everything and he has everything. So he was permitted to basically destroy Job without hurting him physically. And then Satan's like, well, that's, he didn't curse you, but let me hurt his body, and then with everything else, he will curse you. What did he want him to do? He wanted Job to curse God. Him who he had faith in, him who gave him everything he had. Now that things went really, really bad to the utmost extreme, now he wants you to curse God. His wife says, curse God and die. You've got the Nebuchadnezzar declaring himself to be God. Look at my kingdom. Boom. Takes on the role of Satan, of Lucifer, and bang, he winds up eating grass out in the field. King of Tyre says, I'm a god. Alexander the Great comes and destroys the outer city, and then later on they take the rubble of the city and build a causeway to the island city of Tyre and turn it into just a flat, smooth rock. Completely tear it down, destroy everything. The Antichrist sits in the temple of God and says, I am God. The fulfillment of Lucifer, of Satan in human form. Okay? And what is man doing at every turn is defying God, changing his laws, saying it's something else. They are saying that God is darkness. It says that, be not deceived, Lucifer, Satan transforms himself into an angel of light. Therefore, don't be, caught off guard that he can also turn his angels into ministers of light. So there can be people out there that seem to be on the up, seem to be good, but they are actually working for the enemy. And there's a lot of them out there, guys. Way more than what we realize. Meaning that these people that worship Satan and Lucifer, they are very much well aware of Jesus. Right? They're very much well aware of the Bible. So they know how to get by and talk to Christians in order to, keep them at bay, right? Keep them from not knowing that they know something, right? So I'll exalt myself. This has set the stage of the great controversy in the universe. Now this battle continues here on Earth. It's all about worship. Forces of evil versus the forces of darkness. This is why Paul wrote, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, human beings, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore, take on to you the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all, to stand. Ephesians 6, 12 through 13. Because there's a temptation that's coming upon the whole world where both small and the great, the free and the bond, the rich and the poor are all going to be tested. We're all going to be tested. Many are called, but chosen are few. Chosen are few because many that are called are going to take the mark of the beast. It's coming, guys. Digital system, digital everything. Your health, your wealth, your social score, everything about you will be tied to it. It's going to be so convenient, guys. Don't you realize? And when the scriptures reveal the truth that Christ is the light of the world, these occultists twist the truth into a lie. That is that Lucifer, Satan, who is the light, Lucifer doesn't mean Satan, it means light bearer, right? The devil is deceiving soul, who is like the devil is deceiving souls to destruction, right? That's what Satanism is on its face, right? They get to, oh yeah, we do lots of drugs and do sex magic and, you know, down with the nuclear family and pro pedophilia, right? All that stuff is to get you to understand that on its face it's evil. You understand that it's evil. But Lucifer is the god of light, not the god of darkness. We don't even believe in Satan, Satanists will say. Even in the occult, the cross is twisted and is being put upside down. Blasphemy. They know not that Lucifer is going to be destroyed in the end. I, God, will bring forth a fire from the midst of thee. It shall devour thee, and I will bring thee to the ashes upon the earth in the sight of all them that behold thee. And them that behold thee, they'll say, is this the one? Is this the one that weakened the nations? So Albert Pike, very heavy in the occult. He wrote Morals and Dogma, right? He believes he wrote this letter to Mazzini, who was this Catholic priest there in August 15th, 1871. Some think the letter might be a hoax, but it's interesting because everything that's in it has come to pass, right? You see in Freemasonry, there is what is said, orbo ab chao, meaning order out of chaos, right? The Hegelian dialectic, right? The problem, reaction, solution, order out of chaos. They cause chaos upon the earth to create order, right? So what is this letter about? The 3 world wars that are planned to happen before the desired new order to happen. One left. Wars being. So First World War. All these words that are in this obviously didn't exist during the time, but again, if these people are pushing the agendas, then they are also pushing the propaganda. They are pushing the buzzwords. They're pushing the things. That's why everybody says the exact same things. They know at the time what it is to say. They're all signaled, right? They pick up the signal, they receive the signal that they're given, and then they regurgitate the talking points. And now that this, massive thing that happened the last couple of years that a lot of people got that ends up having, heavy metals in it and, technology in it, and that it's self replicating and all this stuff. And there's connections with Bluetooth and Wi-Fi and these crazy anomalies that just so happens that that's taking place, and they're also heavily propagandizing people and putting thoughts into people's heads and gaslighting people. And you don't think that maybe this has something to do with programming people's minds, that they're becoming less human, they're becoming less free thinking and more of just programmable animals. They're making the computer smart. They're making the computer so a computer can milk a cow. But they're making people so they don't know what a cow is. They're making people so they can't identify a cow. They can't identify the teats on a cow to milk a cow. But the machine can now know the cow, know which cow it is, know how far along the cow is, her temperature, know how long she's got to milk before she needs to be dried off and bred again, right? Her cycle, and knows exactly how much milk she's putting out. But the human is being made so dumb that it can't even positively identify the cow. It's got a horn, so it must be a bull, right? They're making people like the old technology that was like one signal, like one button went to one signal, right? One operation, one function. That's what humans are becoming. And the machines are trying to get them to be free thinking as humans and multifaceted and capable in all situations. So the first war to be battled out is to enable the Illuminati to overthrow the powers of the czars in Russia and to turn Russia into a strong fortress of atheistic communism. Check. The differences stirred up by the Gentauer agents of the Illuminati between the German and the British empires were to be used to foment this First World War. Then, when the war is ended, communism was to be built up and used to destroy other governments and weaken religions. And if so, this happened. It was World War One. Yeah, so that's his part. But anyways, yeah, no. Communism brought in to equal the West, right? To prop up, to destroy the West and weaken religions. And then by doing that, then you allow a vacuum for something else to come in, which we're getting at. The First World War must be brought about in order to permit the Illuminati to overthrow the power of the czars and making the country a force atheistic communism. The divergences caused by the agents of the Illuminati between the British and Germanic empires will be used to foment this war. At the end of the war, communism will be built and used to destroy the other governments in order to weaken religions. What? I read the exact same thing twice. It's a tired I'm getting here. And I thought, I'm like, oh, it's like double written. Second World War. Second World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences between the fascists and the political Zionists. Right? Right? This war must be brought about so that Nazism is destroyed and the political Zionism be strong enough to institute a sovereign state of Israel in Palestine. During the Second World War, international communism must become strong enough in order to balance Christendom, which would be then restrained and held in check until the time when we would need it for the final cataclysm. Right? So what's that saying? So fascism and Zionism, because at the end of World War One, the Balfour Agreement, the way for the Jews to get the American Jews to get the Americans into World War One, Balfour Agreement to begin the process of a Zionist state of Israel. World War II, got to get those Jews in Israel. How do we do that? Well, sacrifice by fire. We will sacrifice some. You don't want to go. Nazism came about as a result of communism, atheistic communism that was bringing all the faggotry and transgenderism and all the degenerate psychology and pornography and drug culture into Germany, the Weimar Republic. And so that was the threat of communism. So Nazism was built up to battle against communism. Nazism was to be destroyed, though, because that is the group, right? They decided to turn against who? The Jews, the communist Bolshevik Jews. And so, because Jews worldwide also funded, and American companies funded the Nazis, then they also ended up fighting the Nazis and destroying the Nazis. So they propped them up as a false enemy in order to gain political favor for the Zionists to make them strong enough to institute a sovereign state in Israel, right? And international communism, because of the defeat of the Nazis, allowed for the communists to go through Germany and to completely wreak havoc, rape, pillage, murder, right? And they chopped Germany up, fried her up, took advantage of her, and communism was then able to take over Europe. You know, Patton wanted to keep on going and go right on to Moscow. They had the tanks, had all the men. We could do it. They said, nope, we need Stalin, right? We need Stalin. Because communism kept any kind of resistance to it in check. Because Christianity was already being put to the side right after, as soon as World War II ended, it was put to the side. Don't have any connection to Nazism, right? All the Red Scare, don't have any connections to communism. communist infiltration, but it infiltrated. It seeped its way in. It got into everywhere, and now we're living in the new Weimar Republic. We're living in the new Weimar Republic. International communism became strong enough to weaken Western Europe, and then it also weakened Christianity because after a while they just started making fun of Christianity for, always warning with communism, warning about all the rock, warning about um, all the subversive communist demoralization that was taking place. People didn't want to accept it because they were done with World War II and they just wanted to be able to make money and masturbate when they wanted, right? Be able to divorce their wife when they wanted, go on trips when they wanted, right? Wanted this comfortable life now. They were done working by the sweat of their brow. They wanted to make a more easy, idealistic, materialistic life. Woman staying home, oh, she's got to be out now. She got to have a reason to feel like she's something. The Second World War was used to prop up communism, weaken the West, weaken Christianity, restrain Christianity until the time of the end. So, World War II was planned. Maybe conspiracy theorists were right on this. Yes, no, they're right. Of course, they're right because they're not conspiracy theorists. Conspiracy theorists means that you sit around and you theorize stuff. No, that's the enemies sit around and they theorize their conspiracy. They theorize what they're going to do, and then they begin implementing it. Right? We're just talking about the conspiracy. It's not like we are pulling it out of our ass. It's there in plain sight. People have talked about it for years, and it has its ebbs and its flows, right? Where people are based to know about it, and then something happens, and the party disbands, or a group disbands, or they send a plant or a Fed in there and break them up. All these different things happen where at one point in time people knew all this stuff, and then all of a sudden it became forgotten knowledge and had to be learned all over again. And one good thing about the internet is you can come across all this stuff. Bad thing about it is that you get really black-pilled, right? So the Third World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences caused by the agentur or of the Illuminati between the political Zionists and the leaders of the Islamic world, right? So it must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences between political Zionists and the Islamic world. The war must be conducted in such a way that Islam, Muslim, Arabic world, and political Zionism, the state of Israel, mutually destroy each other. So you hear that? They're mutually going to destroy each other. Meanwhile, the other nations, because again, the political Zionists, right? That's also including us, not because we're political Zionists, but it's talking about large swaths of people, right? And who those people represent. And even though they don't represent you, they're still the ones that are making decisions in your country, right? Meanwhile, the other nations, once more divided on the issue, will be constrained to fight to the point of complete physical, moral, spiritual, and economical exhaustion. We shall unleash the nihilists and the atheists, and we shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm, which in all its horror will show clearly to the nations the effect of absolute atheism, origin of savagery, and the most brutal, bloody turmoil, right? right? Because they don't believe in God. They don't have any kind of remorse. They don't have any kind of sympathy. They don't have any kind of placability, right? They just want to kill, rape, and destroy. They like to smash your skull in and kick your teeth out, right? They like to um, brutalize you, right? That's what they're looking to do. So the nihilists are already out. The atheists are already out. They're spiritually sick. They're sons of Belial, sons of the devil, worthless human beings. But yet they're out all the time. It's not a safe situation. Oh man, I'm falling asleep, guys. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't even know what I just talked about for those last 2 minutes. I think I literally just talked about something and then I trailed off into something that didn't make any sense what I was talking about. The Zionists are leading our country, right? And there's different groups in our countries that are Zionist leaning, right? I mean, why do you think all the anti-Semitism stuff that's out there is out there, right? And then you've got the Islamic world that's, you know, fastest growing religion out there. And a lot of people, a lot of young men are turning to Islam, right? They're turning away from, they don't want to have anything to do with Zionism. So instead, they are turning to Islam. The war must be conducted in such a way that the Muslim Arabic world and the political Zionist state of Israel mutually destroy each other. So something major is going to happen there. Meanwhile, the other nations, our areas, more divided on the issue, will be constrained to fight complete physical, moral, spiritual, and economic exhaustion. Right? Again, all these people. That's where I was at. All these people, the nihilists are already out there. The atheists are already out there. They're already provoking. The beginning phases of the social cataclysm has been taking place, but now it's really ramping up. And I don't expect it to slow down. There might be some little reprieves here and there, but it's just jumping. The last few years, guys, it's just been rapid fire from one thing into the next, right? But listen, it's going to clearly show to the nations the effect of absolute atheism and the origin of savagery and the most bloody turmoil. They're saying that you're going to understand what savagery is. You think it's bad. You think things are bad. You haven't seen nothing. The things that you see on movies are going to be the reality in our country. It's what I said earlier, that people like completely unaware, completely not ready. You can be, yes, you can be over prepped and ridiculous, but to be under prepped and not know that anything's coming, you're just going to be in bad shape. So meanwhile, the other nations, right, once more divided, right? No, sorry. Then everywhere, the citizens, okay, now it's not talking with the nihilists, it's not talking with the atheists, it's talking about the citizens. It's not talking about the Zionists, it's not talking about the Muslims, it's talking about the citizens. Obliged to defend themselves because we're not supposed to defend ourselves, but people are going to say, I'm defending myself. I don't care if you call me a racist, right? I'm not going to let you kill me. I'm not going to let you murder me and my family. I'm not going to let you have your way with my wife, rape my children. Not going to happen. I'm going to kill you, is what I would say if someone was trying to do that. But when I say that I'm going to kill you, I mean that the words in action form. Right? And if I'm like this and I'm feeling that way, other people are feeling that way. other people are at the end of their rope, so to speak. And I don't mean suicide, I mean at the end of their leash, and they are awaiting such situations. And I'm not awaiting the situation. I don't want this to take place, but there are people that are waiting. And that's also not good. So once more divided, constrained to, obliged to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries. This is a minority worldwide, right? The Antichrist has got to be someone that's popular. Okay? Got to be someone that's popular. So it's not saying that we're fighting Islam. It's not saying that we're fighting Zionism even. It's talking about us, the citizens, fighting the nihilists, fighting the atheists, fighting the destroyers of civilization, fighting the ones that don't represent Islam, that don't represent Christianity, that don't represent secularism, right? That are strictly here as sons of Belial, sons of Satan, here to cause trouble, that are sluggards, they're destroyers. That's what they're here for. They're to bring about a change of heart, a change of thought, change of ideals, right? Because we're not going to allow them to run over us anymore. We're going to be obliged to defend ourselves against this tiny faction, minority of revolutionaries. So the citizens will exterminate. You know, the day the Saxon got angry, they will exterminate. Because when white people and people that associate themselves with white nations, when they decide to get together, because we are not getting together, we are not organized in any type of fashion, because most people are not attuned to what's even going on. There's only a handful of us that understand what's going on and that are saying anything about it. And then there's people that are beginning to understand it. They understand it, but there's no organization. We're all lower level understanding. There's no middle level management group that's coming in yet that has, you know, their foot in the door of places of influence. There definitely isn't anybody in the higher levels. We're not looking for them because they're not going to be the answer. They're not. But once the citizenry is obliged to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries, guarantee you the ones in power are going to be quick to hear them now, hear the citizens. They'll exterminate the destroyers of civilization, and the multitude disillusioned with Christianity who didn't want to do nothing, wanted to sit back and not do anything, didn't want to be called racist or homophobic or anything like that, whose deistic spirits will from that moment be without compass or direction, anxious for an ideal, but without knowing where to render adoration. So, because of the events that took place, because all the chaos, because all the destruction, the savagery that took place, because your unwillingness to do anything, people have become disillusioned with Christianity, not being able to stand for anything, not being able to stand up against anything. And so because our spirits are, you know, deistic, right? There's a God, right? In that moment, though, there will be no moral compass because people will be disillusioned with Christianity because it didn't stand up. It wouldn't stand up for what was right. So, and being anxious for an ideal, they're going to fall away from Christianity. They're going to fall away from the church. Not knowing where to render adoration will receive the true light through the universal manifestation, the great awakening of the pure doctrine of Lucifer brought finally out into public view. So these useless eaters, these people that are being set up for destruction, quite frankly, they're just being able to run enough muck to cause destruction And if a few, mid to high level people get caught up and taken out in the process, well, that's just some collateral damage. Overall, they'll be safe. And it's the everyday person that doesn't believe it's happening that's going to have a rough time. It's going to be bad for everybody. It's going to be bad for everybody. No compass, no direction, angst for ideal, not knowing where to render identification will receive adoration, will receive the true light through the universal manifestation, the pure doctrine of Lucifer. Christians, before all this happens, believe that we're going to be raptured out. Not all Christians, but very popular belief. The rapture is that, not knowing the day or the hour, it could come at any time when Jesus returns and calls us up. And that's what kicks off the book of Revelation. That's what kicks off the end times. That's what kicks off the persecution of the Jews. Right? This idea that we're going to escape before anything happens, even though Christians all over the world are persecuted, killed, and tortured. But yet here in the West, where we've had no problems and we live as worldly as any has ever lived, and yet live as worldly as we can live, yet we think that we're going to escape the tribulation. It's not God's wrath, it's just the tribulation of the saints, the time period that you will be made white or you will follow the Antichrist, accept the mark of the beast, and set your soul, determine it for destruction, determine it for hell. So it's going to be our side that exterminates the problem. And the Antichrist will come out of the ashes of that. Because when the rapture doesn't happen, Christians are demoralized and are going through great tribulation, which they've never seen. They are going to turn to whoever comes and saves them. Right? Simple as that. And that's the manifestation, the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer, finally brought into public view. It can't happen until then. Until the Satanism, the on your face wickedness, which I've been saying this for so long, and it's like people that I've gone on shows with, it's like they don't freaking get it. I want to stick around in the, crazy crap. But maybe I'm too hard on people. Maybe I don't explain things clearly enough. I think I do. I think I'm pretty straight and to the point. I don't think I beat around the bush. Right? I really don't. But so this manifestation of the doctrine of Lucifer that's brought out into public view, this manifestation will result from the general reactionary movement. Who's the general reactionary movement? That's the citizens reacting to the nihilists, the atheists, the destroyers of civilization. That is who the reactionary movement is. Those reacting to what's taking place. Right? And during that process, because again, Christians are being told that this is the end of days and that at any moment the rapture is going to take place. There's also the whole thing out there that, well, the rapture is not going to take place. But if they believe the rapture is going to take place any day and they go through tribulation that they said that they weren't going to go through because they were told that that was the wrath of God, even though it's a tribulation, not the wrath of God comes out of the tribulation. Right? They're going to lose faith and they're going to fall away and they're going to go to whatever is secure for them. They're going to go to Jesus, the one that they say, look, there's Jesus in the secret place. Look, he's in the desert. Don't go there. But they're going to go there. Because again, too, when it comes to giving up your life, we've lived in very comfortable, decadent society where even if you don't have much money, you've probably lived, you haven't had a lot, not that you probably lived really good, but you haven't for the most part, we've lived a comfortable life, running water, hot showers, air conditioning, TV, right? All the at your fingertips stuff. It's becoming less and less pertinent, though, isn't it? Well, I mean that stuff's basic, but all the worldly stuff, like all the materialism. Subsequently, I'm not going with the Essenes, but that side of materialism, that is all departing from me. Most of the material that I want now is material that I can use in order to do something that is going to provide something. Right? I just want something that's going to allow me to do more work, right? And yield fruit thereof. It's like I want to yield fruit thereof of this, getting people up to speed and understanding what's taking place, not to be scared, but to be brave and bold and not be fearful, but to be leaders. This general reactionary movement, guys, it's going to be very tempting to join the general reactionary movement to all this because I am boiling and the stuff all drives me nuts, and I hate seeing all the violence and the just lack of empathy and care and concern for your fellow human being. Like in general, like both conquered and exterminate at the same time. So the reactionary movement, which will follow the destruction of Christianity and atheism, right? See, atheism isn't going to be able to prove it, like, because Satan is being manifested, because everybody's like, I believe in God now because Satan's real. I know Satan's real. See what that is? So think about that when people say stuff like that. See, I'm the kind of guy that I listen to everything that people say. And if somebody that I know is talking about this stuff and they say certain things like what I just say, they say stuff like, I know God is real because I've seen the devil, right? Then to me, that is them identifying exactly with how they want you to identify Satanism. Is exactly what the article's saying, right? Oh, all the bad stuff, that's Satanism. But all the good stuff, that's Lucifer. It's not, don't get caught up in the name, right? He's actually the good one. Jesus, when it comes down to it, actually, Jesus is the bad one. So they've been, you've been lied to for all this time, right? But Satan would never lie to you. Lucifer wouldn't. He's an angel of light. Why would he lie? Right? So after the destruction of Christianity, atheism, because again, there's no atheists in foxholes. The Satanism is out there and in your face, so people are like, well, there's God because these people are clearly against God, right? So anybody that's against these people and says they're for God, well, then I'm with these people, right? And that's how fickle people are, and that's how they make these movements. So once they are, and besides the atheism, right? Then Christianity. Why is it destroyed? Well, atheism is destroyed because people understand that there's a religious component to this. Christianity is destroyed because it's like, well, we can't do anything about this. This has to take place, right? We're going to be out here anyways. So don't worry about nothing. What's the point of even living? it's always been super hard. It's always been super super tough to try to get through to people and try to even wrap your own head around it, because it's not like, if I could understand it and it'd be what everybody else says, like, well, that would be great, but the problem is when I read the information, right, I don't see the same thing. I see something different, right? But just like most people watching this, when you hear Klaus Schwab get up there and talk about all these different things that are coming, like, it's not like you're like, oh, I wonder if he actually knows what he's talking about, right? It's not a matter of that. It's just a matter of how fast is he plan on actually carrying this out, right? And how long will it take us to defeat them? But most people aren't thinking that. They're not thinking that they're being lied to. And so Christianity being neutered, being restrained, right, as communism weakened religion, um, weakened the West, restrained Christianity. And as Christianity is restrained, then everybody else comes in and says, well, hey, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, right? Turn the other cheek. God is love, right? Don't be mean to anybody. Don't say anything to anybody. Just be loving. And although I think that is right, that you should be nice, you should be polite, you should be loving, um, I don't have the same kind of love for, people that hate God as I do for people that love God, right? If you're objectively against God, then we're not going to be friends. I'll pray for you, but we're never going to hang out. And if you not only don't believe in God, but then you're also like bent on destroying God's creation, hell bent on just being an evil person, then I really don't like you. It goes past the, oh, I feel sorry for you or anything like that. Like, no, you could have a moment where you decide that you're not going to be with Satan anymore. You're not going to follow that worldview anymore. But instead, they double down, they triple down, and they go headlong into it. And the chickens are coming home to roost, but people are waking up. And as people wake up to this world religion, this understanding that there's a God out there, because there's Satan. Christianity, when Christians aren't raptured away at the first sniff of trouble, and when we don't speak out and do anything against it, then that will be our destruction. And those that actually join together to fight against it and eradicate it, well, that reactionary movement from it will manifest the things that they want. They want the useless eaters to die. They want them to be gotten rid of, but they're going to use them until they can get rid of them. They want a lot of white people to die, right? But they want a Ubermensch. They want a Superman to emerge from all of this. And then through going through the trials of knowing good and evil, choose the light. And we enter the true age of Aquarius, of peace and love and understanding. But when they say peace and safety, know that sudden destruction soon come. So That is what is believed to be the letter Albert Pike, 33-degree Freemason, Giuseppe Mazzini, and their letter is said to have been in the British Museum Library in London until 1977. The Word of God is short, is clearly shows that Christ is the winner at the end. By the way, Christ already won at Calvary. This is true. The victory is already his. Jesus did all the work. Jesus paid it all to him I owe. Sin left crimson stain. His blood left me white as snow. It will just be confirmation at the end, and that will be brought by miracles done by demons. Those who are not rooted in Christ will be deceived by them, for they are spirits of devils working miracles, which go forth to kings of the earth and the whole world to gather them together at the great day of battle to God Almighty. Right? Because they didn't believe Jesus and his miracles. And then they all say, well, God, just show me a miracle. Right? So the atheists are waiting for a miracle. I need a miracle. They're waiting for a miracle. Non-believers are waiting for a miracle. When they say they get this miracle, then they're going to believe. Don't, get what you wish for. The imposter comes and he's going to do those miracles in front of you. Spirit of devils. So at the time of the end, true Christians, fundamentals, those who stand on the Bible and the Bible alone, would be persecuted and others killed. Then shall they deliver you up, be afflicted, and kill you. That's what it says, Matthew 24. Then, because it says before that, first you heal wars and rumors of wars and all this soon. See that ye be not shaken, right? And then what does it say? It says, fear not. No, then it says, for they are working miracles. They go through. They shall deliver you up, and they afflict you and shall kill you. Before that, it's just a bunch of talk, and it hasn't reached that point. But by Matthew 24 later on, it's at that point where they're going to deliver you up. After, because it talks about too the sun, or not sun and moon, but it talks about the conflicts that are going on in the earth, the earthquakes in diverse places, all these things, major things happening. Danger, Will Robinson. So they shall deliver you up, and you shall be killed, and you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. Who's that? Jesus Christ. It says, fear not, or you don't worry if they say that they hate you. Just remember that they first hated me. They hate us because they hate Christ. They ain't us, therefore they hate us. Right? Matthew 24:9. That's what it is, that verse there. What a trying time to be faithful at the time Christ comes. Christ says, fear them that which kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul, spirit, but rather fear him that is able to destroy the soul and the body, right? Fear not him that's able to cast you into jail, but fear him who's able to cast you into hell, eternal hellfire. That's who you should fear. Not man, who's able to just throw you into prison, but God, who has complete power over your eternity. That's it, guys. I'm going to fall asleep. That's why they Christian-based countries to be chips. Yeah, exactly. There will be a remnant. Doing a fine job, brother. Thank you, Gary. I seriously am falling asleep. I know there's a couple times where I definitely caught myself probably like starting to like go off on something stupid, but be able to catch myself, bring it around. But it's 1:23. I got to get going, guys. Much appreciated, everybody that's come out. Wilford, Gary, Miss Massless, Bub's Cat, I seen there. Gary Gluska. And that's it. Everybody else that was watching, thanks for coming out. Thanks for being a part of this. I wonder if Nightwave did a stream tonight. I said he might be back Monday or Tuesday. Anyways, guys, take care. Try to see you again here soon. Promise when it's going to be. Try to get to that stream where I was going to do what I was talking about today, basically. But we'll talk a little bit about Adam Green and whatnot. I'd like to, get some videos up here and show a little bit of that. I just really wanted to talk about this Albert Pike thing and just how it's right on cue with everything. And this is a letter that I've brought up so many times over the years, and I've been called, you know, called a Q person or a retard for like people just don't seem to understand or see like they'll use every excuse not to believe it or just maybe they're actually working and are part of this whole thing, right? Because they're always pushing it. Just the way people understand things is exactly how it's worded in there, right? The whole Satanism versus Luciferianism, and thinking that there's some kind of difference. And then again, like I can't explain it, but I think you know what I mean. Wilford's like, go to bed. Have a good night, Peter. Have a good night, Wilford. Have a good night, Gary. Have a good night, Miss Maskless. Try to be back here sooner than later. Thanks for coming out, guys. Have yourselves a wonderful night. God bless you. And if you're not God's, then you should be. You should believe on Him, or it's too late. The window's closing, and your mind's being altered and changed, and everything about you being changed. You see people in your life that they are changed, they are different, and everybody's getting geared up for this. And unfortunately, a lot of us who've been on this, who've been looking at this from afar, introspectively, investigatively, we've been seeing this, and now it's coming into fruition, and it's makes it even trickier because you know that a lot of people have to be deceived. I mean, you have understood for years that this group here basically they couldn't possibly win because they wouldn't survive more than a month after victory before killing themselves, right? The left, the whole Satanist component, like you just know that it's like helter skelter. They're going to get in charge for a little bit, but they're going to be so destructive and not be able to get anything done that, it's going to switch back hands. And then when it switches back hands, well, then look out. Because that's when everything's coming in. All the regulations, everything like that. None of the old ways are going to be able to do because everybody is so such a scumbag and wants to take advantage of the system and get money however they can, and they'll rob Peter to pay Paul and all this stuff that you don't have a high trust society. So let's start building a high trust society by being high trust people and not giving into the New World Order, not being how they want us to identify as. If we don't identify with the way that they want us to identify, then we don't fall victim to it. It's not, it's a curse God and die situation. If you don't curse God and don't die, then you're going to be okay, right? But if you fall for all the things that are going on in this world and you get upset and you just throw your hands up in the air and become part of it, then you lose. They win. Resistance isn't about battling the flesh, right? It's not about all the retards out there that are useful idiots and cannon fodder, right? It's about understanding this and trying to be able to I'd rather I just like to slap the shit out of some of these people. Like Bible says, like if you, Olivia, good to see you, darling. If you discipline a child Bible says, if you beat that child, you will not kill him, but you will save his soul. Right? So many people just didn't get that beaten. And I don't mean that, they fucked around and found out, right? Or they did something. So someone was there to beat them up completely. No, I don't. It's not that. But people need to be checked sometimes. And you don't want to live in a world like the hood where everybody just goes around, checks everybody. And there's this system of checking that's so ridiculous that nobody can get anything done or do anything because everybody's just always checking people on everything. And when you get checked, sometimes you don't like it, and the fight goes off, and then someone ends up getting shot and killed, right? Or 20 people get shot over an argument, over nothing, over which city rep's better, what. Can't be like that. Can't fall victim to that. So all these groups, all these special groups and minorities all fall victim to they've been given their identifying marker. They identify with that character, and that's it. They're a cog in that wheel now. And if you identify with the thing that they want you to identify with, then you will become that thing. You have to see it for what it is and navigate it, because it's a hard one, guys, and nobody's going to do it for you. Christ will return. He will save us. He will destroy the wicked. But if you think that you're going to get to that point easily, without struggle, without tribulation, without trials, temptation, without screwing up, without some bad things happening, you're crazy. May God continue to bless you and your beautiful family, especially while on the way. Thank you, Olivia. Thank you all for coming out. God bless you all. Go with God. Believe in Jesus Christ. Walk in His Holy Spirit. Put on the whole armor of God. It's the only way you're going to repel the fiery arrows of the enemy. And I'm sick of these people. So sick of these evil destroyers of civilization. But I'm not going to go with the New World Order either. So we got a lot to go through, guys, in the future. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of hope. I got a lot of hope. I'm not worried. Those that are in fear and that don't know the Lord, they're going to be the ones that are going to be worried. They're going to think that they have something for a time, but in a very short moment, in an hour, the destruction will come. And all those that suffer through and in Christ Jesus, well, you'll be repaid one day. You will receive your reward. Your reward for believing is you will be with God forever. You will be in eternity forever. What that'll be like, I'm not telling you what all it's going to be like. But it's going to be better than this. The memory of this will be gone. That's for sure. Because all evil will be done away with. Into the pit it'll go. There'll be no need for any remembrance of it. Won't that be crazy? But until then, let us go forth and go strong.